Hi, kamusta? This is Sir Eman, a public school science teacher. In this video, you will learn an interesting lesson in Science 9. Kung gusto mong matuto, panoorin at tapusin mo ang video na ito. Before we start our lesson, I want you to take note of these important reminders as you watch this video. Number 1, be in a quiet, non-disturbing place or location at home. Number 2, this is an interactive discussion, so make sure to participate by simply stating your answers to the questions or writing them down on a piece of paper. Number 3, always prepare your pen and paper before watching the lesson. This will allow you to easily take note of the important points mentioned in the video. Number 4, you may decide to pause the video to give you more time to perform the tasks given, if there are any. Then, play it again once you are done. And lastly, make sure to listen carefully and avoid distractions. If possible, turn off your other devices, log out from your social media accounts while watching our videos. Happy learning, everyone! Ano nga ba ang pag-uusapan natin ngayong araw? Meron ba kayong idea? For sure, alam niyo na dahil nandiyan yan sa title ng ating video. In this video, we will discuss the respiratory system. Pero ano bang may kinalaman sa respiratory system ang ating pag-uusapan? So specifically for this video, we will find out the different functions of the respiratory system. We'll also be able to identify the different parts of the respiratory system and their corresponding functions. Para saan ba sila? And lastly, we will be able to see here how the carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange in the respiratory tract. Okay, this is actually part of the first most essential learning competency in Science 9 for Quarter 1, which is explain how the respiratory and circulatory systems work together to transport nutrients, gases, and other molecules to and from the different parts of the body. So in this first video, we will first be focusing on the respiratory system. So, simulan na natin. We will start with this video or with this picture on the screen. What do you see on the picture? Ano ang nakikita nyo? Ano activity yung nangyayari? Sige nga, pwede nyo sabihin o isulat sa inyong papel. Now, if you've answered breathing, then you're actually correct. We see here a person that is drawing in air into his body. Well, we are all breathing, right? You are breathing. I am breathing. Everyone around us is breathing. But have you ever wondered, bakit ba natin kailangan na huminga? Why is breathing important? What if we stop breathing? Now, this important process that is always taking place in our body is actually the main function of the respiratory system. Okay? So let's start first by defining what the respiratory system is all about. So according to Britannica.com, respiratory system refers to the system of organs or group of closely related organs in living organisms that takes up oxygen and discharges carbon dioxide. So ito pala tumutukoy sa grupo ng mga organs na magkakalapit ang function. Na as a whole, ano ang ginagawa nila? Nagpapasok ng oxygen sa ating katawan at naglalabas naman ng carbon dioxide. So nakita natin kung bakit mahalaga ang paghinga, breathing, which is a function of the respiratory system. Dahil nagdadala ito ng oxygen at naglalabas naman ng carbon dioxide. Para saan itong mga gases na ito? This is needed in order for the body to satisfy its energy requirements. Inside of our body, there are a lot of biological processes and chemical processes which are taking place. Now, sa mga processes na ito, nangangailangan yan ng oxygen. At yung respiratory system, siya nagdadala ng oxygen papasok sa ating katawan. Now, in these different chemical and biological processes, it actually results to the production of different waste material. Isa po dito ay itong carbon dioxide, which is a gaseous waste. So, another task of the respiratory system is to get rid of this carbon dioxide. Okay? So, this is the main function of the respiratory system. But can you think of other functions of this organ system? Meron pa ba siyang ibang ginagawa? Here is the list of the other functions of the respiratory system. So una, ito pala, respiration. Ito yung primary function yung pinag-usapan natin kanina. Respiration or the exchange of gases. So for this topic, we will use respiration to mean breathing. Okay? Kasi as we go along the discussion, makikita nyo na may encounter ulit natin itong respiration with a different meaning. So, when we speak of respiration in terms of respiratory system, ang ibig sabihin yan ay breathing or exchange of gases. So, yun yung pangunahin na trabaho ng respiratory system. Ano pa ibang trabaho ng respiratory system? Number 2, olfaction or sense of smell. Okay? So, inside of our nose, there are sensory receptors. And these sensory receptors, these are the ones that detect the different odor that we smell. Ano, nadala-dala ng hangin na ating nilalanghap. Okay? So this is the second function of the respiratory system. Third, production of the human voice. You probably can still recall when you were in grade 7 when we discussed about the voice box. So the voice box is actually part of the respiratory tract. Kaya in a way, isa rin yun sa mga nagagawa ng respiratory system. And lastly, it helps maintain homeostasis or the state of internal balance. So sa loob ng katawan, maraming dapat na balansehin ng mga bagay. Isa dyan ay yung ating temperature, body temperature. Kaya meron tayong normal body temperature. Kaya lang may mga pagkakataon because of the different activities that we do, physical activities, tumataas yung body temperature. And so, one way para ma-dissipate, ma-release sa environment yung excess heat na yan ay through exhalation, paghinga natin. Kaya para sa pagkatapos ng physical activities, aside from sweating na nag-release ng heat, tayo ay nagkakaroon ng heavy breathing. Nag-exhale, exhale, exhale para mapapalabas yung excess na heat na yan sa katawan. Okay? So far for this part, we have learned the different functions of the respiratory system. Pero alam natin, ang main dito ay yung respiration or exchange ng oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay? Now, when we speak of breathing, meron actually dalawang proseso dito na involved. Are you familiar with these two processes? The first one starts with letter I and the second one starts with letter E. Ano kaya yung dalawang yon? Pwede niyong sabihin yung sagot or isulat yan sa inyong papel. Okay, kung naisulat nyo na, ang dalawang process na ito ay actually tinatawag natin na inhalation and exhalation. Paano ba nagkakaiba itong dalawang proseso na ito? Siguro meron na rin kayong idea. I-confirm natin. When we speak of inhalation, that's actually the process of drawing in air, including oxygen, into the body. Yun yung proseso ng pagpapasok ng hangin sa loob ng ating katawan. At yung hangin na yun ay mayaman sa oxygen. Okay? Whereas, when we speak of exhalation, is the process of pushing air, including carbon dioxide, out of the body. So, kung kanina, sa inhalation, hangin ay papasok, mayaman sa oxygen. Pag exhalation naman, ang hangin ay palabas, may dala-dala naman ng gaseous waste material na carbon dioxide. Okay? So, yun yung pinagkaiba ng dalawa. Paano po nangyayari yun? Babalikan natin ito mamaya. Itong dalawang illustration na ito. Okay? Nakakasunod ba? Kung may mga part na hindi na unawaan, pwedeng ulitin ang video natin na ito. Okay? So, when we speak of respiratory system, respiration, breathing, ano ba yung pumapasok agad sa inyong isipan? Ano ang organ na involved? Sige nga, you may seek your answer or write that down on your paper. Well, most of my students answer lungs. Isa yan actually ang main organ ng respiratory system. Pero meron pa bang ibang organ na involved dito? Ano-ano kaya yun? Yun ang susunod natin na aalamin. Okay? What are the different organs that help in the exchange of gases in the body? So, tuloy natin. Sabi dito, air is drawn into your body through the nose and through the mouth and passes through a series of airways to reach the lungs. Tama. Pag inhale natin, hindi naman automatic nasa lungs na. It has to pass a series of airways. Now, anong tawag daw sa series of airways na to? This is what we refer to as the respiratory tract. Okay? Now, itong respiratory tract pala na ito ay nahahati sa dalawang parts. Ito yung tinatawag natin na upper respiratory tract, like sa picture on the side, yung nasa taas, And the lower respiratory tract, ito naman yung mga parts na nasa ibaba. So for the upper respiratory tract, it includes the nose, the nasal cavity, the mouth, the pharynx, and the larynx. And for the lower respiratory tract, it includes the trachea, the bronchi, the bronchioles, the alveoli, the lungs, and even the diaphragm. So isa-isahin natin ang mga ito. Starting off with the upper respiratory tract. So sa kaya tayo magsisimula? We'll begin with, of course, the nasal cavity. So this serves as the channel for airflow through the nose. Ito pala isa sa mga unang dinadaanan ng hangin. So sa nasal cavity, syempre dumadaan yan sa nose. Take note, these two refer to two different things. Yung nose, yung nasa labas na yon, yung projection na yan, mismo nahawakan natin. Whereas yung area, space inside, that is your nasal cavity. So as soon as air enters into the nose and reaches the nasal cavity, it is warmed, cleaned, and moistened. Para okay na siya bago dumating sa iba pang mga parts, hindi ma-damage yung mga yun. Now, what helps clean the air that we breathe in? It enters through the nose. That's actually the job of this structure we call cilia, which are tiny hair-like structures within the cavity. Ang trabaho niya is to filter out dust, pollen, and other foreign particles. Take note, yung cilia natin, hindi yan yung nose hair mismo, no, na minsan nakikita na sa tao, na nakalabas yung buhok sa ilong. But rather, yung hair-like structures na yon na nasa baba noon. Yan. So, that is the role of the cilia. Now, meron pa bang ibang pwedeng daanan ang ating hangin papasok sa ating katawan? Sabi kanina dun sa statement, aside from the nose, sometimes it may also enter through the mouth. In this case, ginamit yung term na oral cavity. Okay? Dahil minsan, kapag kabarado ang ilong, mahirap huminga. So, it is through the mouth that we actually breathe. So, they also serve as entrance for airflow through the mouth. Okay? So, in other references, yung mouth at yung oral cavity, iisa lang yan. Okay? Unlike itong isa na magkaiba. Okay? Pero yung pinaka-oral cavity proper, yung air, yung space dito sa medyo padulo na. Okay? Papunta sa may pharynx. So basically, ang atin lang kinukuha dito unang dumadaan o dito pumapasok yung ating hangin. Now, saan pupunta na ang hangin pagkatapos nito? It will then go to the structure we call pharynx. Okay, this is the small tube that connects the nasal cavity and mouth to the larynx for air and to the esophagus for food. Para madali nating tandaan, yung pharynx pala, that actually pertains to our throat. So, yun yung dulo ng nasal and oral cavity. Okay? So, yun yung nagiging daanan para sa hangin at para rin sa pagkain. Okay? Sir, paano po na yung food that we eat does not enter into the pathway ng hangin? Ano yung pumipigil doon? There's actually this structure we call epiglottis, which is a leaf-shaped flap of cartilage located behind the tongue at the top of the larynx. So, ito yun. Made up of cartilage, leaf-shaped structure na siyang, sabi dyan, it seals off the windpipe during eating so that the food that we eat is not accidentally inhaled. So, di ba, ito daanan ng hangin. Dito, pwede rin dumaan ng hangin, pero usually, yung pagkain ang dadaan dito. So, kapag lumanok ka na, to make sure na hindi yan dadaan dito sa daanan ng hangin, nagfa-flap itong structure na yan, nagsasara. Para yung pagkain na iyong kinain will go to the esophagus. Dapat na kanyang daanan. Okay? That is why, hindi siya pumapasok doon. Kaya di ba sabi nila, matanda, don't talk when your mouth is full. That's actually scientifically accurate, hindi lang siya kasabihan. Kasi pag ikaw ay nagsasalita, at the same time ay lumulunok, pwedeng posible na yung iba sa mga kinakain mo ay pumasok sa daanan ng hangin. So, pwede kang ma-choke. Kaya dapat talaga, you don't talk when your mouth is full. At syempre, hindi rin yung pagpapakita ng paggalang. Okay? So, ipatuloy natin. Once it already passed through the throat or the pharynx, yung area na yan, where will it go next? It will then go to the structure we call, katunog ng pharynx, we have there larynx. Okay? Which is also known as the voice box. Ano meron sa voice box? Inside of the voice box, doon natin matatagpuan yung ating vocal cords na nagpo-produce ng ating human voice. So, this connects the pharynx to the trachea or the windpipe. Okay? Anong itsura nun? So, ito pala yung itsura ng ating larynx or voice box. Nasa taas na itong epiglotis na to. So, kapag ka lulunok, nagsasara siya para matakpan itong passageway for air. So, yan, yung voice box, andyan yung vocal cords na nagfa-flap, nagva-vibrate kapag dumadaan yung hangin, producing the sound, yung ating human voice. Ano? Pero hindi pa yun yung talagang lumalabas na sound sa ating bibig. Kasi pagdaan yan dyan, dadaan pa yun sa iba't ibang mga articulator sa bibig, sa dila, sa ngipin, sa labi, para ma-produce yung mga sound ng S, B, P, T, R, so on and so forth. Okay? So, nakuha ba? So, dumaan na siya sa either nasal cavity or mouth. It will then go to the pharynx or the throat, then the larynx. This actually ends the upper respiratory tract. Pagkatapos ito, pupunta na siya sa lower respiratory tract. Unang-una would be the trachea or the windpipe. So, di ba, ito yung ating voice box. Diretso na yan dito sa mahaba na tubo na ito. Sabi dyan, about 10 to 12 cm in length and 2 cm in diameter, hollow tube that travels down the neck in front of the esophagus. Yung esophagus yung daanan ng pagkain. Ano? And branches into the right and left bronchi. So, ito yung mahabang daanan ng hangin. Okay? After passing through the trachea or the windpipe, saan na siya pupunta? It will then go to these two tubes, branching tubes. Ang tawag natin ay bronchi. So, bronchi, this is a plural form. Ang kanyang singular form ay bronchus. So, left bronchus, right bronchus. So, consists of two branching tubes that connect the trachea to the lungs. So, ito, papasok na talaga ng lungs natin. Okay? So, trachea and then to the bronchi. Yan dalawang yan. Then, saan na siya pupunta? Inside of the lungs, nakapasok na siya doon. This bronchi still divides into finer subdivisions. So, itong mga yan, mas maliliit na ng mga tubes, doon na siya didiretso. Ang tawag naman natin doon ay bronchioles. Okay, sabi dyan, hair-like tubes. So, talagang maninipis, maliliit na mga tubes. Okay? So, bronchi, then bronchioles. And at the end of this bronchioles, doon na matatagpuan naman yung kasunod na part, which we call alveoli, or the air sacs at the end of the bronchioles. Now, this is very important for you to remember because this is where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide take place. Diba kanina, pag inhale, ano nga yung maraming gas? Oxygen. So, dadaan yun dito sa mga iba't ibang parts. Sa upper respiratory tract, and lower respiratory tract, hanggang makarating na sa alveoli. Okay? So, para siyang grapes, kumpol ng mga grapes. Okay? So, ganito yung itsura, yung representation natin. Ano? Okay, so, kung ito yung bronchioles, andyan na yung mga air sacs natin on alveoli. Okay, sabi dyan, surrounded by a dense network of capillaries. Itong capillaries, these are very thin. Sorry. These are very thin and small blood vessels. So, napakaliit at napakanipis na daanan ng hangin. Okay? So, ito yung mga yon. Ano yun? Yung mga blood vessels natin. Diyan dumadaan yung dugo. Okay? So, ang nangyayari, di ba, dala-dala nung hangin yung oxygen. Itong oxygen na to, madidiffuse na yan, mapapapunta dun sa blood na nasa capillary, na yung oxygen naman na yan, dadalhin ng blood papunta sa puso, pabalik sa puso, at sa iba't ibang parte ng katawan. Meanwhile, di ba, meron pa tayong involved na carbon dioxide. Nandyan din sa blood na yan, yung carbon dioxide, galing sa iba't ibang parte ng katawan. Ito naman, yung i-exchange na. Kaya sabi ito yung exact site of gas exchange. Kasi yung dugo, ipapasa naman itong carbon dioxide papunta sa hangin. So yung hangin naman, mag-exhale ka naman palabas, dadaan ulit yan, pabalik dun sa mga dinaanan kanina. Kay bronchioles, kay bronchi, kay trachea, palabas na ng katawan. So i-release mo na yung carbon dioxide. Okay? Pero meron ba tayong nakalimutan na part? Hindi dinidiscuss. Actually, meron pa dalawa. Diba? The main organ of the respiratory system, which is the lungs. So, lungs kasi we have a pair of lungs. Ano? Dalawa. Okay? Allows oxygen to be drawn into the body. So, ito yung structure na nag-aalaw na pumasok yung hangin sa ating katawan. Okay? So, yun. The left lung, sabi dyan, is smaller than the right lung. Bakit kaya? Ano bang meron dito? There's the presence of ito yung ating right lung, ito yung left lung. Here we see there's the presence of the heart. So, syempre, dahil may space, yung puso, sana all may space, para sa puso. So, dahil may space dyan, kaya nakakain yung ilang area dyan. Kaya mas maliit yung ating left lung kaysa dun sa kabilang side. Okay? And working closely with the lungs is this skeletal muscle na nasa ilalim niya, we call diaphragm. So, flat muscle that is located beneath the lungs influences the lungs in order to draw in or push out the air. Okay. So, di ba sabi natin kanina, meron tayong babalikan. Babalik tayo. Sana all bumabalik. So, meron tayong babalikan. Hindi babalikan natin yung diagram kanina. Kanina kasi nabanggit natin yung difference between inhalation and exhalation. Sabi natin may mga organs na involved dito. Actually, yung involved dito, yung dalawa nagtutulungan, si lungs at si diaphragm. Paano ba nangyayari yung inhalation? So, mapakita natin. So, during inhalation, di ba yun yung process ng pagpasok ng hangin na mayaman sa oxygen, yung ating skeletal muscle na nasa ilalim ng lungs, yung diaphragm, sabi dyan, it contracts or moves down. So, pagbaba niya, nung ating diaphragm, it actually causes the lungs na nasa taas niya na mag-expand. Lalaki yung size. So, pag nag-expand siya, magkakaroon ng area, ng room sa loob ng lungs. Na ang mangyari naman, yung mga hangin na nasa labas, ma-attract doon, papasok, papaloob. So, nadodraw yung air, papasok ng ating lungs. Therefore, inhalation takes place. Okay? Exhalation, kabaliktaran naman. What happens is that this diaphragm, it relaxes or moves up. So, pag tumaas siya, ano nangyayari sa size ng lungs? Lumiliit or nasi-squeeze. So, syempre, masisikip. Hindi naman yung pagsisiksikan ng hangin yung kanyang sarili doon. Syempre, joke lang yan. So, dahil masikip na, it will actually cause the air to be pushed out. Kasama na doon yung carbon dioxide. Therefore, exhalation takes place. So, ganun po yun nangyayari. Inhalation, the diaphragm contracts or goes down, causing the lungs to become larger, drawing in air, papasok sa loob. Whereas for exhalation, the diaphragm goes up, causing the lungs to shrink or become smaller, pushing the air out of the lungs. Okay? So, nilalabas naman yung carbon dioxide at iba pang gases na na-inhale niya na hindi naman kailangan ng ating katawan. Okay? So, ganun po nangyayari. Itong dalawang proseso na ito. Now, so far sa ating discussion ng mga parts, we were able to see already how these two gases exchange in the respiratory tract. Pero reviewin natin saglit. Atin lang isa-isahin yung mga steps na dinaanan ng ating oxygen at ng carbon dioxide. So, trace natin yung path. So, first, ano muna mangyayari? Siyempre, you will have to inhale. During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts, causing the lungs to expand, drawing in oxygen-rich air from outside the body inside. So, pag inhale mo, saan yan papasok? It will then enter through either the nose or the mouth at pupunta sa nasal or oral cavity. Next, pagpunta niya doon, saan na siya dediretso? It will then go to the pharynx or the throat, and then to the larynx or the voice box. And then, it will make its way to the trachea or the windpipe, yung mahabang tube na yun. Nakita natin dito sa picture on the side yung mahaba na yan. After passing through the windpipe, it will then go to these two branching tubes we call the bronchi. So, papasok na siya dyan sa lungs natin. Okay? And then after passing through the lungs, the air will then pass through the finer subdivisions of the bronchi. Ang tawag natin sa mas maliit na mga branches niya would be the bronchioles. And at the end of the bronchioles, there are these air sacs we call alveoli. Na, sabi dyan, in direct contact with capillaries or very small and tiny blood vessels. Nagtataglay ng dugo or blood. So, this direct contact allows oxygen to diffuse into the alveoli. So, oxygen mapapapunta doon from the alveoli to the blood. At the same time, si carbon dioxide naman na nasa blood will diffuse into the air. And then itong hangin na to, during exhalation, will be expelled out of the body. dadaan, pabalik sa bronchioles, kay bronchi, kay trachea, kay larynx, kay pharynx, nose, or mouth. Palabas na sa environment. Okay? So that's basically how inhalation and exhalation takes place and how these two gases exchange in the respiratory tract. So far in this video, we were able to discuss already the functions of the respiratory system, the different parts and their corresponding function, and how these two gases exchange. Okay? So, try natin kung nakuha nyo yung mga pinag-usapan natin. So, sige nga, pwede nyo i-pause ang video na ito para sagutan itong mga tanong na ito. Then, pwede nyo i-play pagtapos na kayo para makita kung tama ba yung mga isinagot ninyo. So, first question, what are the functions of the respiratory system? You can write that down on your piece of paper. So, pwede nyo i-pause muna sa part na ito. Okay? Sige, kung tapos na. What are the functions of the respiratory system? Main function, huwag kakalimutan, respiration, exchange of gases. Well, kasama rin dyan, sa mga ginagawa niya would be olfaction or sense of smell, production of the human voice, and then maintaining homeostasis. Okay? So, yun. Second question, ano ba yung mga structures daw na bumubuo sa ating respiratory system? Meron tayong picture on the side. So, pwede nyo i-pause yung video na to and i-label yung mga parts na yan. Pagtapos na kayo, i-play nyo ulit para ma-check natin kung tama. Okay? So, okay na ba? Tapos ka na? So, sige. I-name natin itong mga parts na to. Yung one would be, of course, yung tinuturo mismo yung nose, pero sa dulo ng ating nose, yung area na yan would be the nasal cavity. So, kung sinagot nose, tama din yun. Okay, next. Of course, that would be the mouth. Mouth or oral cavity. Pangatlo, itong mahabang pipe na to, that would be the trachea. Pang-apat, yung dalawang branching tube would be your bronchi. Plural, bronchus kapag singular naman. And then yung dalawang yan, we call them for number 5, lungs. Okay? Yung grape-like structure na nasa dulo, we call that alveoli. Ito kaya, yung duluhan ng oral and nasal cavity, or the throat, we call that the pharynx. Very good. Ito namang part na yan, right after the pharynx, dinadaanan ng hangin where our voice is produced, that is what we call the larynx. Yung kabilang side, still bronchi, kasama yung ano doon kanina. Yung smaller subdivisions of the bronchi, we call that the bronchioles. And yung skeletal muscle sa baba, we call that the diaphragm. So, very good. Hopefully, nasagutan nyo ito. Kung hindi man, again, pwedeng balikan ang video natin ito. Now, last na pwede nyo gawin. Kaya-kayang i-trace na yung path that the oxygen and carbon dioxide take in the respiratory tract. Kailan sila nag-exchange. So, pwede nyo rin itong gawin. Pwede yung dagdagan itong flowchart na to ng mga kahon. Pwede as many as 15, 16, kung depende sa inyo kung paano siya aayusin. Ano? So, sa taas, ilagay nyo yung part ng katawan na dadaanan or ng respiratory tract na dadaanan. Halimbawa, from the environment, of course, we'll have to inhale. Then, saan siya pupunta? And then, ilagay kung ano yung gas na present doon. And then, saan siya pupunta? Ano yung gas? Saan siya pupunta? Ano yung gas na nandun? So on and so forth. Hanggang makabalik ulit siya sa environment. Okay? So, sige nga, i-pause ang video sa part na to, then kung tapos na kayo, i-play na ulit. Okay? Tapos na ba? Tingnan natin yung sagot dito. So, pwedeng hindi exactly the same pero tingnan natin kung tama pa rin yung mga naisagot nyo. So, of course, pagka-inhale, that will enter either through the nose or the mouth. Ang present na gas, there's the presence of the oxygen. After passing through this two, saan siya pupunta? It will then go to the pharynx, yung ating throat, and then to the larynx, yung ating voice box. Ano yung present na gas doon? There's the presence of the oxygen. Yun yung kailangan natin pa dito. So, kung ginawa nyo, pinagawa nyo itong dalawa, 2 pharynx, 3 larynx, tama pa rin. After passing to the larynx, saan siya pupunta? It will then go to the trachea, part na ng lower respiratory tract. Anong gas pa rin na present? Oxygen. Pagpunta sa trachea, it will then lead to the 2 branching tubes. Ang tawag natin ay bronchi. Ang present pa rin ay oxygen. Finer subdivisions of the bronchi, pupunta na yan sa bronchioles. Anong present pa rin? The presence of the oxygen. Ano yung nasa dulo ng bronchioles, na air sacs? Ang tawag natin doon ay alveoli. Now, ano nga yung nandoon, naka-embed sa ating alveoli? Marami doon na capillaries, right? Nandun yung blood vessel na yon na nagtataglay ng blood. So, aside from the oxygen, meron na rin dong carbon dioxide. Si oxygen, mapapapunta kay blood, dadalhin sa puso, different parts of the body. Si carbon dioxide naman, mapapasama na sa hangin. So, dito, mag-exhale ka na. Pag-exhale mo, ang dala na ng hangin ay carbon dioxide. Saan na siya dadaan? So, pwede, kung ang ginawa ng 7 ay bronchioles, babalik siya siyempre dito, di ba? Then carbon dioxide, pwede rin. Kung diretso naman, lower respiratory tract na bronchioles, bronchi, trachea, then tama rin yun. Ang nandyan ay carbon dioxide na. And then pagkatapos ng lower respiratory tract, syempre tataas naman siya sa upper respiratory tract. Dito naman sa pharynx or larynx, pharynx, and then this two. Syempre, carbon dioxide pa rin, and saka na siya makakalabas ng ating katawan. Okay? So, yun po. Now, hopefully, ay nakatulong sa inyo ang video na ito. May kinalaman sa respiratory system. Now, in the next video, we'll be discussing about the circulatory system, yung mga parts niya, ang puso, pagtibok ng puso, pag-flow ng blood doon, and paano ba nagtutulungan itong dalawang organ systems na ito. Okay? So, maraming salamat sa inyong oras at see you sa ating susunod na video.